Good morning, guys, or good afternoon, whether you're joining me from the present or the future. Welcome back to another FutureFight Vanguard video. In this video, we're going to be covering the G-BT13 Thavas deck. I know we're a bit behind, guys, but in case you have not been keeping track of the videos, we are playing catch-up right now. So yeah, forgive me if you guys are not interested in this video anymore. You can probably just skip this one if you want. This is for the people who are still wanting to see these kinds of decks, even though the format has passed, because some of the decks still have the power to keep up with the format, and so on and so forth. So we're going to start talking about the Thavas deck here. We're going to unflip all of our G units as usual. And then we're going to start talking about the deck. So, as usual, we have about 7 grade 3s, 7 to 8 grade 3s, but in this deck we run 7. We run the new Thavas, which is Champion of Storms Thavas. It has 2 abilities. It has an auto ability, two auto abilities. The first one is on Vanguard Circle, which is when your G unit strides. It's an on-stride skill, so when your G unit strides, choose up to 1 card from your hand, call it to the rearguard circle. Choose one of your rearguards until the end of the turn it gets resist. And then if that rearguard has the wave ability, it gets a continuous skill that allows it to attack from the back row. So this skill can be pretty good with some of our wave cards in this deck, mainly Shipra and Melania. Everything else you kind of don't want to attack from the back row with, that has wave at least. You want to use it to boost or give them resist for, like, no reason. So like things like Tidal Assault, you want to give resist against control decks, and so on and so forth. Then the second skill is the Generation Break 2 on the rearguard circle skill. At the end of the battle that this unit attacked, if it is the first battle or the 4th battle, you can counterblast 1, and if you do, you restand this unit. So it allows you some extra attacks here or there. You just have to kind of keep careful of which one you're doing and why, and etc. Moving on to our backup grade 3, we have Transcendent of Storms Thavas. It has 2 auto abilities as well. However, both auto abilities activate on the Vanguard for this one. So the first one is the Generation Break 2. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, if it is the 4th battle or more of that turn, until the end of that battle, this unit gets +1 critical, and your opponent cannot guard with grade 0s from their hand. So basically, this adds a bit of guard restrict in case you can't stride and you're stuck on this. It's not completely useless to you. It's just not that strong either, because your opponent could always PG or, try to get something done so that is not really a threat to them as far as the guard restrict and the crit. So you pretty much just still always want to stride in this deck like it is a stride deck. You guys want to be like very conscious of that. Then its second ability is during your turn when your G unit strides, so another on stride ability. Choose one of your Vanguards until the end of the turn, it gets an auto skill. And the auto skill is when your unit attacks a Vanguard. If it is the 4th battle or more, choose 3 of your opponent's rearguards, and your opponent chooses 1 and retires it. So basically what that means is, like, on the 4th battle, any battle, whichever battle it is, as long as it's, or whoever's attacking, as long as it's the 4th battle, you choose 3 of your opponent's rearguards, and your opponent has to choose 1 and retire it. So it becomes pretty good control at the same time when you have a kind of control aspect grade 3 like this. Moving on to our grade 2 lineup, we have 4 Tidal Assault. Tidal Assault has been a bread and butter Aqua Force card since as far as I can remember. Its rearguard skill is at the end of the battle that this unit attacks a Vanguard. If you have an Aqua Force Vanguard, stand your unit, and then this unit gets -5,000 power until the end of the turn. So this unit really helps with like multi-attack and stuff like that. If you know you're gonna make your Tidal Assault really big, the -5k almost doesn't even matter that it's gonna get -5k. So you just like to keep up with things like those, and you should be fine. Moving on to our next grade 2, we have 3 Battle Siren Adelaide. So Adelaide has a Generation Break 1 skill that is Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1. When this unit is placed and you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard, If you do, this unit gets plus 2,000 power, and then it gets another ability that says at the end of the battle that it attacks Vanguard, it can restand. So basically with Adelaide, like against your control matchups, you just want to give it resist through Champion of Storms Thavas. And against your non-resist matchups, you just want to play them and attack in the rear guard so that you're not using up the restand ability that it has on itself up until the very last moment where you need it. Then we have 3 Battle Siren Shipra. What Shipra does is it has 2 auto abilities as well. First, the rear guard ability is if you have a Vanguard with Thavas in its name, this unit gets plus 2,000 and resist. And then the second ability is when this unit attacks, if it is the 2nd to 4th time for battles, if you have a Vanguard with Thavas in its name, you can counterboss 1, you draw a card, and this card receives plus 3,000 power. So it can be really good for making columns and drawing you some cards. Obviously, when it's boosted by a 7k, like 18 plus 3 is 21, so that makes a number on 11k Vanguards, and it's very good pressure against your opponent. Finishing out our grade 2 lineup, we have Saber Flow Sailor or Sabre Flow Sailor, however you would like to pronounce that. It has a Generation Break 1 ability on the rear guard circle. It says at the end of the battle, this unit attacks a Vanguard. If it is the 4th or more battle of the turn, you can retire this unit and draw 2 cards. So this unit allows you some reward for doing the amount of attacks you do in a turn, and then also you just get to get a weak unit off the board and draw 2 more, which makes it just infinitely more useful than some of your other options in your grade 2 lineup. Then we run 3 Nikki. Obviously, it's our stride fodder. This is a stride deck, pretty self-explanatory. Also helps you search out different Thavases when you need them. Then we have 1 Guardian of the Seas, 4 Guardian of the Seas Platon. This is going to be our PG that unflips in this deck. Obviously, our counterboss are very important. We also have the new G Guardians and stuff to unflip as well, so you kind of just keep track of your counterboss using that. But you shouldn't be using that many counterblasts in this deck. You just use what you need and get what you need. Then moving on, we have 3 Battle Siren Melania. Melania has 2 abilities, a auto ability and a continuous ability. The auto ability activates on rear guard circle, and it's when it's wave 3 or more. So if it's the 3rd attack or more of the turn, and this unit attacks a Vanguard, you can counterboss 1. If you have a grade 3 or higher Vanguard with Thavas in its name, then you draw 1 card and this unit gets plus 5,000 power. So if you're attacking with it on the 3rd turn, basically it can become a 12k, and you draw a card, which can make a hitting number on 11k Vanguard, which is pretty good. It also has resist on Vanguard Circle, Rear Guard Circle, and Guardian Circle, so keep that in mind. Moving on and finishing out our grade 1 lineup, we have 3 Battle Siren Orthea. Orthea has 2 abilities as well, an auto and a continuous. The auto ability is at the end of the battle that this unit boosted a rear guard, you can counterboss 1, soul boss 1. If you do, you choose one of the boosted units that you boosted, you stood it, or you stand it, and this unit gets minus 5,000 power until the end of the turn. So it basically gives any rear guard in front of it a Tidal Assault-like ability for the cost of counterboss 1, soul boss 1. So it's pretty good ability, kind of keeps your opponent in check and also keeps them scared of, you know, what's waiting, because whenever you have a card that's restanding, like, it is always a threat to your opponent in this deck, just because of Alexandros and other cards like that that keep high pressure on your opponent with power. Then for our starter, we run 1 Bubble Edge Draco Kid. Bubble Edge Draco Kid honestly just helps you facilitate your pluses, and you get some really good pluses off of Bubble Edge Draco Kid when you have a lot of attacks. But basically its skill is, if you have Aquaforce Vanguard, shove this card into your soul, and then if you do, you choose one of your Aquaforce cards, and that unit gets a skill that says whenever it attacks, you draw a card, as long as it's the 4th battle or more. So you can set it up to where your unit that will attack twice will only attack on, you know, past dinner, or But yeah, it's just like whenever you attack, you would draw more cards with it, and whenever you would attack with a card that would be past your 4th attack, you would just draw 2 cards. Because assuming that you just use it on a unit that would attack twice, so that way you can get the maximum value out of it. For our triggers, we run 7 crit, 5 draw, 4 heal. For our crits, we run Patros and Supersonic Sailor. Patros is just our generic Thavas crit that shoves itself into the soul, draw a card, give 5,000 to Vanguard. Supersonic Sailor allows to shove into the soul and unflip a card from your damage zone, so that's pretty good. Then we have 4 Battle Siren Marika. This card is our Margle clone, shove into the soul, give 3k to any Force unit. We have 1 Blue Glow Trooper, who's a new card from the set, also does the same exact thing. It's just a Blue Wave card, which literally has no relevance in this deck. And then we have Blue Wave Engineer Refit Sailor that does the same thing. Is Blue Wave, but it has no relevance in this deck specifically, except for the fact of its skill that allows you to bind itself and another heal trigger when you G-Guard, and then you can soul charge 1 or counter charge 1 to refill your resources, whichever one you need most. Then we have 2 Storm Dominator Commander Thavas going into our G-Zone. Commander Thavas has kind of 2 skills. It's 1 big skill, but it activating the first skill allows you to gain access to the second and third one that are gained by using the skill. So activating the first one is turning Commander Thavas face up in your G-Zone during the main phase, and then you choose up to 1 of your rear guards, and then it gets plus 5,000 power and the ability to attack from the back row. And then till the end of the turn, this unit gets a Generation Break 3 4th or more ability. This says when your unit attacks a Vanguard, choose 3 of your opponent's rear guards, and your opponent chooses 1 and retires it. So obviously it does the same thing as original Thavas. Does the same thing as original Thavas, and also allows you to give 5k to a unit and attack from the back row, so that can be pretty solid depending on what your setup on the board is. Then we have 2 Marine General of the Sky and Earth Lambros. Lambros' effect is kind of like Alexandros. I call it the mini Alexandros, because it kind of is. Like, if you're on GB2, then Lambros is, I think, stronger than Alexandros, but anything above that, Alexandros is just infinitely better. So you do want to pay attention to that and make sure that you're doing that. But Lambros' skill is when this unit attacks Vanguard, if it is the 4th battle or more of the turn, then you can flip a Lambros, and if you do, choose up to 2 of your rear guards, stand them, and then if the number of face-up cards in your G-Zone is 2 or more, the units suited with this effect get plus 10,000. So you can make your columns really big early on when you're GB2, and can be a really good option to go into instead of Alexandros when you only have 1 face-up G unit and you're working on your next stride. Moving on, we have 4 Marshal General of Wave Honor Alexandros. This card is honestly MVP, MVP, MVP of the deck. It's just a very strong card, and its ability is at the end of the battle that this unit attacked, you can counterboss 1 and flip a face down card from your G-Zone, as long as it's, the 2nd or 3rd battle of the turn. If you do, you choose 2 of your rear guards, you stand them, and they get plus 5,000 for each card face up in the G-Zone. So obviously, attacks can get really big by this, ranging from the 2nd stride to like the 3rd stride. So you really want to be able to, manage your counterboss wisely so that you're able to use Alexandros multiple times if needed. Then we have 1 Storm of Lament, Wailing Thavas. Wailing Thavas is purely just there to clear your opponent's board if you need to clear your opponent's board, or you can add guard restrict to your attack as well. So if your opponent is not like, playing a lot of cards, or they are playing a lot of cards, you can board wipe them and make sure that you're still straight on everything that's going on. So the two skills, I just didn't go over them. They are Generation Break 3. When this unit attacks, your opponent chooses one of the rear guards for each battle that's gone on and then retires it. Then the second one is Generation Break 2, Wave 3 or more. When this unit attacks, counterblast 1. If you do until the end of the battle, this unit gets plus 5,000 for each of your rear guards that attack this turn. And then your opponent cannot call grade 1s from their hand to guard circle. So it's pretty good in that respect. Then we have our Zeroth Dragon, which is Megiddo. We went over this in the Blue Wave video if you guys watched that, but basically this card just allows you to counterblast 2 when you place it on the Vanguard circle. You can choose up to 5 cards in total from your hand and drop zone and call them to separate rearguard circles. They get plus 5,000 power, and then at the end of the turn at the end of the battle that they attacked, you can alternate its position with another unit, namely one that's still standing, so that you can get a lot of attacks off. Then we have one Sabreeze. Obviously, you guys know the deal with Sabreeze by now, in case your opponent tries to grade lock you. Then we have one guard leader of Sky and Water, Ionis. Ionis has a skill that says counterblast 1 and flip Gallifa or Galphilia face down, and then face up, and then you want to choose up to 5 of your rear guards to get plus 10 continuous, and then this unit gets plus 5,000 shield for each rear guard that you have on the board. It can be pretty solid of a choice. You just really use it to defend your units against like nonsense, and defend your units against like, you know, anything like attacks, abilities during the battle phase, etc. Then we have 2 Ice Barrier Dragon, pretty simple. Second or fourth time or more when this unit is placed on guard circle, this unit gets plus 10,000 shield. And then we have Galphilia and its 2 abilities. Just the existence of this card alone helps us fight Link Joker more efficiently and stuff like that. So, you know, it's always good to have an out to Link Joker in a deck where you're like reliant on, you know, how your rear guards interact with your opponent. So second or third time only, this unit gets plus 5,000 shield. And then the second ability is you can Soul Blast, turn this card face down, and then choose a card in your damage zone or circle and turn it face up. So that was the deck list. We should be getting right into our games here, as long as our area will upload itself back shortly here. So we're going to load Thavas 1. We're playing against Murakumo. Yasui to be exact. Our opponent starts, rides, passes, we ride and attack. We get a draw trigger. Draw, power to Vanguard. Then our opponent attacks. We take damage Tidal Assault. And then we guard with our draw trigger. We attack Vanguard. No guard. He attacks Vanguard, Twin Drive, no triggers, and then 9 to Vanguard, I guard with another draw trigger. I strode, and then we strode, we get 5k to Tidal Assault, and Bubble Edge to Tidal Assault. Wave 1, we're attacking his Vanguard. Wave 2, we're attacking his Vanguard. Wave 3 is $25. So we check a draw trigger there. He damage checks a crit. We attack for a Tidal Assault for 19. Tidal Assault restands, gets minus 5, equals 21. And then we counterblast, Soul Blast, and restand just to get another attack and another draw off. Our opponent strides into Gemma. He's Soul Blasting it, or he soul blasted and discarded Simbi so that he can use Simbi's ability. So he copies the grade 2, is deciding where he wants to put it on the board. And then he plays a crit trigger to back all of that up. So then he attacks me for 36 to Vanguard. And then I no guard. And then nothing really happens there except for they check a draw trigger. The draw goes to rear guard, of course. And then he attacks for 14 and 16 respectively. And then we stand and draw and stride into Lambros. We play a crit down from our hand. So our opponent's trying to figure out if they game at the front row or the back row. Then we attack for 16 to rear guard. So our opponent guards it at last. And then I attack with Vanguard. I shove a card into Soul. My opponent PGs. I'm able to, you know, do the Alexander's checks. So I do check one critical trigger. So second place picks, you know. So then our opponent no guards, and we actually end up critting him really badly. So yeah, that was game 1. Getting back into game 2 as soon as our area is good. Alright, our area is backing back up. Loading Thavas 2. We're playing into Murakumo again. We ride and we attack. Go trigger. Go trigger. I ride to grade 2, attack his Vanguard, and then attack for 9. Re-rides. And then we try to check grade 3 and a Adelaide. So our opponent decides to provide a little rush. Then we're checking some cards. Our opponent damage checks a draw trigger. His power Vanguard draw. So our opponent checked a critical there. And our opponent does not have a grade 3, so it's kind of awkward for them. We attack for 14. He takes that damage, and then we attack with, you know. So yeah, so they attack Vanguard at PG. I use Thavas skill to call a card. Commander skill gives its skill to the grade 2. Bubble Edge, Vaco Kid. So I attack my opponent. He tries to opt for the 6 damage heal, but he does not get it. With our area back open, let's go into game 3. Game 3 also against Murakumo, we only had to put back 1. Then we're able to draw a card for turn. He chooses not to ride a grade 1, we attack for 11. He guards it. We check. They're attacking our Vanguard for 5. Doesn't hit. I decided to provide a little bit of a rush, which is duly rewarded with a PG. My opponent G-assists here because they do not have a grade 2. So they did not get, oh sorry, they G-assisted for grade 1. I forgot that they don't have grade 1 in their hand. But the with the G-assist, so. And then now he just needs a grade 2. We are attacking with Vanguard. We're checking a critical trigger and a Melania. Takes 2 damage. And then our opponent eats the damage, rises to grade 1, checks the hero trigger. Yeah. Then we check draw trigger and a heal trigger. Obviously, no power to heal. And then our opponent, just decided to give up because he couldn't get his correct grades. So kind of like, a reason that you would give up in off-course or against off-course anyways, because you do not have the correct ride and I just have all the pieces, it's most likely you're going to lose. So yeah, that has been the Thavas deck. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure if you liked the video or if it helped you out in any way, like the video so I can tell that you guys want to see more of things like this. Also make sure you check out the video description down below. Our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and all of our social medias. Patreon is down there as well. If you guys support on Patreon, thank you so much for supporting the channel. But with that being said, this has been Josh from Cardfight Empire, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace, guys.